Yo, what is up, guys or girls? Hopefully girls, maybe probably guys, but this is my match versus Socrates MLG. Socrates 101 or Vespiquen Power Ranger coach. Yeah, all of his names he goes by. It's the class of the Dutch guys, and so far it's the only Dutch guy I know that also plays Mons in a competitive way, at least in league format wise. So it's kind of, I guess, my rival, you would call him. That means that I'm gonna beat him. But the game already happened, so I will quickly go over what happened and my thought process and everything that is usually in a video like this. First up, the team preview. He basically brought everything I expect him to bring. I mentioned in my team builder video, which there will be a link in the description below if you have not checked it out yet. But I mentioned that Garbodor would be a potential mon that he could bring, and Exploit would also be a potential mon that he was possibly gonna bring. But I expected these D6 mainly, and he did bring all D6. So one way that's good, other way that's bad, because I figured he would bring D6 because they do the most work versus my team. So in one way that's kind of bad. Other way, I kind of do know what they're gonna do, and I kind of do know how to play them, hopefully. Anyhow, his first mon is a Mega Ampharos, and following Manibus, Leatherus, Slowking, Azelf, and Infernape. From team preview, I didn't quite know what he was going to lead with. He had 3 potential rockers, and looking at his team, I figured he would probably have an offensive lead Azelf / Infernape as a rocker. That was the main thought process, because I don't think Lender's T would be a stealth rocker, or defensive Lender's T, because I don't think that's too useful for his team. But there was a potential, of course. So I figured my best lead would probably be Rhyperior. If he leads Azelf and goes for something like Energy Ball, I do know that it is more likely not like a nasty blood kind of variant or anything, so potentially could be, but he might have figured that I was running like a random berry, so we will see if I actually do lead with Rhyperior, because I don't. And that's because I was looking at Steam and I was like, wait a second, if his best lead is a lead Infernape or a lead Azelf, they carry Taunt. And why would I risk a Rhyperior first of all in this matchup? Like, the only thing that can beat Aromatisse in this matchup is Landorus. And if he leads with Landorus and he decides to get up his rocks, I know it's a defensive Landorus, so it's not a threat anymore basically. Well, it's still a kind of threat, but less of a threat. So I figured that's a perfect way for me to scout about Aromatisse, what kind of threat he's bringing. And that's why I decided to lead with Aromatisse over Rhyperior, so I do not get Stealth Rocks up turn 1. Might be useful, you'll see in maybe later on in the game. But he goes for U-turn, so I figured at this point that okay, he's not Nasty Blood. That's almost a confirmation. But I kind of figured he would maybe potentially be a Scarfer, so because it's the fastest mon on either of our teams, so it would outspeed everything, and it would outspeed a Dragon Dancing Hexorus if I decided to bring one. Because I did. Spoilers. I just went for Safe Moonblast because I knew that he was more likely not gonna stay in, and if he went for a Nasty Blood first turn, then a Moonblast would do the damage I needed it to do, so I could revenge it with Manaphy and such. He goes into Slowking, and I switch out, not quite sure what Slowking is gonna do to me, but I make the safe switch into Manaphy because I know that he's not gonna expect Manaphy to be a physical Manaphy. And a knockoff is gonna cripple this Slowking quite a bit, because his Venom-Berry gets knocked off. Venom-Berry probably for energy balling Manaphy / Venusaur to hit it, so that's a good preparation on his end. But the knockoff is nice and hits Slowking for good damage. Doesn't die just yet, but that is actually a good thing, as you will see later on. Here I switch into Skarmory, at least he switches me into Skarmory with the Dragon Tail. And here I make a bad play, because why the fuck should I Brave Bird a Slowking, because I know that he's gonna save Slowking, and I shouldn't Brave Bird, I should make a double switch. My best switch would have been Venusaur, because I would have been able to get the Mega Evolution off. Unfortunately I don't make the play, and I get punished for it, because as you can see here I get stacked. And that's gonna come into play later on, because there will be Hex in this match, spoilers. But here I switch into Rhyperior, mainly because I figured that he knows that Aromatisse is a humongous threat to his team. So I expected him to expect either Aromatisse or Venusaur to be the switch into Ampharos, but he nicely predicts my Rhyperior to switch in on him. and he Dragon Pulses me. Also, by the way, I changed Rapidity sheet a little bit. It's speedy enough to outspeed a speed creeping Empress, at least speed creeping if it has 20 speed EVs, because that's the speed he ran on speed creepers in the past in his matches. So I figured that would be the speed that I needed to use. Turns out he was speedier than that, so that doesn't really matter in the end. But yeah, I go into Aromatisse on the Dragon Pulse. If he decided to make a play and Fault Switch out, it would still be fine because Aromatisse is a tank, and yeah, you know, stuff. I go for the Calm Mind here, and I go for Calm Mind because he has Manibus and Manibus is set up for straight up. It has nothing, maybe Whirlwind at best, but if I scout for the Whirlwind, I know that I can still beat it with Aromatisse if it ends up being the last one on my team, or I can just continuously switch into it and yeah, do stuff, you know. But yeah, Aromatisse sets up a Calm Mind, and he goes for the Encore here, and Aromatisse blocks Encore, and I guess he didn't know because that's why he went for Encore. But that means for me that I have a lot of momentum. As it turns out, I didn't see this or didn't notice this at the time in the match. He was a choice card to turn with Encore, so probably to Encore me into a move with Hexpress or something, or maybe another Mon that sets up on my team. But anyway, he tried to Anchor me, and he has choice card. And I figured he was just gonna save this for later on because it's still pretty useful, I assume. But he switched out, and yeah, he went into Slowking, and I went for Moonblast. That's a nice 33%. And I'm just gonna set up on Slowking because Slowking is not a threat to me. And even if he gets the burn, which he won't get, I set it to +4. I mean, +5. Maybe, I don't know. But he won't get a burn, and I go for the. I take him down right here because this is all the thing I need to KO everything on his team from full. And I didn't want to risk more burns, and yeah. So he goes into Infinite right now, and I know that the only thing he has to hit me with is a Flare Blitz. That's everything he has. And if he has anything else, then it wouldn't do enough damage to me, and I would have been able to set up against an Infinite as well. So that's why I go for the rest. And this puts him in a really bad situation because he is looking at a sleeping. Well, that's good for him, but he's at a plus a nicely boosted Aromatisse in both Speed and in Special Attack, and I'm at full health. So now he needs to kind of rely on me not getting a Sleep Talk with the Moonblast, and I don't get it. So here I figured that okay, Aromatisse is my win condition because it beats Azelf, it beats Manibus, and it beats Empress, all of them. The only thing he has to beat me is this Landorus, so I maybe should have switched out the turn before this, not risking the Sleep Talk, but yeah, that's hindsight of course. But he makes the, I'm assuming, very ballsy play. I don't know really why he made the play, but it does work out for him because if I did pull a Sleep Talk right there, I would have won the game. Yeah, I would have won the game. If I didn't pull a Sleep Talk right there, then Sleep Talk the Moonblast, then he would have been in a good situation because he would have been able to 2-hit KO me from that range still, because it does 81% max, around 81%. I mean, I don't know the max roll, but it's never a 100% damage that he'll get me unless he crits me. But so I didn't expect him to get up Substitute, but he turns out he does get up Substitute, and I switch to Skarmory. Skarmory is able to guaranteed knock down the Substitute from Landorus, so this Hex is very, very unfortunate. I know his spread, it's pretty heavily invested in hit points and HP, but my Brave Bird does like a 24.5% lowest roll or something, so it's almost a guaranteed KO Substitute. But here I'm kind of forced into my mons that outspeed it, and at this point Manaphy can outspeed it, but that's about it. It cannot do anything else. It can't, because he has a Substitute though, because I couldn't break it with Skarmory. I cannot just Ice Beam him to death or Scald him to death. So that's not an option, so I have to basically sack Hexpress because it's the only thing that can break this up and not die before trying. So yeah, I'm unfortunately forced to sack Hexpress here to the Earthquake, which sucks massively because Hexpress would have been able to put in a nice shift versus his whole team, even his Landorus, and only Manibus was fully physically defensive, so it would have been nice counter to it, but it still would have dented the Manibus to the point where he wouldn't have been able to use it for anything else. So yeah. But his Landorus is nicely up at max HP and max +2 attack and shit. So I am forced into Manaphy and I have to go for the Ice Beam, otherwise I am unable to KO him. So I do that. Even if I Ice Beamed, he would have had a nice chance to lift the hit actually. It does around 93%, still 111% or something. So it was a roll, wasn't in my favor, but he didn't know that, of course. So he didn't know what investment I had. He so far only has seen the knockoff. So, and that did a lot of damage. Maybe he coughed, but who knows? Who knows? So I went for the Ice Beam, he switched in Ampharos, it takes it very nicely. I figured again that he would probably predict me to switch in Aromatisse here, because Aromatisse would have been able to get a nice sleep turn off. But on the other hand, a Volt Switch onto the incoming Aromatisse would have granted him a lot of momentum with his Mustaska, his Landorus, so that was not an option for me. So the Dragon Pulse I guess was a little bit of a safe play. It does a lot more damage than I expected it to do, because the previous one did around 45%, if I'm not 46%, yeah. This one did 54%, and that roll is kind of huge because I don't know if I probably would have stayed in with Rhyperior in hindsight, but I might have switched out because I would have caught the damage on Ampharos, and if it was specially defensive or not, and if it had any speed EVs. But that's useless now because the high damage roll KOs Rhyperior, unfortunately. But now I'm going back into Aromatisse. Aromatisse is able to get a sleep turn up, and hopefully I can pull my sleep turns luckily this time, because I didn't get the luck last time versus Landorus, so hopefully I can do that. And as you can see, I don't really get lucky because he is able to get up a +2 with Landorus and put it in the finest amount of work. First of all, he just EQs me and he tries to get the 2-hit KO on Aromatisse, and I Moonblast him for the damage I need to have a guaranteed OHKO with Manaphy. Here I switch in Manaphy because Manaphy is at 68.4% or something, and he max rolled from max attack Adamant Landorus, which he wasn't, looking at Steam. But a max attack Adamant hit would have done 67% max, so I would have been guaranteed to lift this hit, and I would have threatened him out with an Ice Beam or Scald, and to which I could U-turn or knock off or Ice Beam or Scald, yeah, everything would have been a possibility. But he crits me and I lose my win condition, and that really sucks. And now I have an Aromatisse that's not able to actually do too much versus Landorus, and only the rest of the team it does a lot versus, but Landorus is still a thorn in my side. So, but yeah, I lost my Hexers because of an unfortunate paralyze of Skarmory, which forced me to sack Hexers, which would have done a lot of damage versus team. Rhyperior unfortunately died to the high roll, and now Manaphy died to the crit, so I'm really not looking good versus his Landorus right now, and as you will see, I am unable to come back from that devastating Hex, as I'm just hoping here for him to make a misplay and sack his Landorus so I can still win with Aromatisse, but he makes the better play and just switches in Ampharos and have the slow momentum into his Azelf and take down Venusaur. I hoped at this point that Azelf might have been scarfed, so he would have been locked into this and he would not have switched out, but as you can see, he tried to KO me right here. It doesn't KO me because Aromatisse is pretty bulky. I tried to set up on this, but he's not scarfed, and then you turn out into Landorus, which is easily able to deal with Aromatisse, as I didn't get lucky enough to KO his Landorus with the Sleep Talk rolls, with the Sleep Talk turns. So unfortunately, again, Hex played a huge role in this match. High rolls, paralyze, crits, everything, Sleep Talk, yeah, everything was kind of not in my favor, and that really sucks. And I wasn't salty because it's Hex, and honestly I get more salty if I make bad plays instead of I lose to Hex. But this does jeopardize my chances of reaching playoffs. and I will quickly show you. The spreadsheet right here and how everything is right now. I'm actually gonna pause because I don't think I can. Oh, I can actually change this shit. It needs to kind of get. Well, I don't know. Be right back. Alright, as you can see right here, this is currently the league table for the. I don't know what this is. I think. This is currently the Division B and the Division A league table. Division A, the playoff contenders are basically set. The Philadelphia Focus Miss from Matthew and the Sheriff Valley Merkers from Merck are gonna be in the playoffs because Bangladesh is unfortunately not able to get the spot from Merck unless Merck loses to Brett, which is not. I wouldn't say. I probably call it not likely, as Brett is 1 in 5 and lowest at their division. So yeah. But more importantly, our division, and as you can see, it's very close actually. The lowest guy is 2 and 4, and the highest guy is 4 and 2. So it's pretty close, which means that I do still have a chance of making it, despite me making bad plays in week 2, getting hexed in week 4, and getting hexed in week 6. I'm relying on New Jersey Gym Plus coach to lose their next game, and there is a decent chance of that happening because he's playing DeLorean Love Discs, and I have a lot of faith in Garrett. So Garrett, please do not let me down. Also, I need the Manchester Meganiums to lose, and that's Connor, the coach, and he's playing, I think, the Persons. So Rufus, you are a newcomer too. Please do not let me down. Please redeem yourself, or just use the luck that you used against me and break Connor, please. And then the opponent I face today, Martijn, is also a playoff contender because he is 1 differential point ahead of me. Luckily for me, he's facing Pierre, and Pierre is currently the best guy in our division, so I might be able to rely on Pierre to beating Martijn, and if not beating, then hopefully he will be able to pull the game down in such a way that it's maybe just a 1-0 at best. So yeah, I'm facing the Toronto Torterra, and he's currently shared last with Variant Love Discs. But that doesn't mean anything because I know that Garrett's gonna win versus Christian, so I think that Omega does have like a 1% chance of beating me too, depending on the hex, because that seems to be my downfall this season. So the curse of Lars, is apparently not a myth. But yeah. So I haven't given up hope yet. This season hasn't been gone the way it has supposed to. Obviously because I'm 3 and 3. So, but I will do that kind of type of video after the playoffs, hopefully, which I will still be able to reach. We'll have to see though. I'm reliant on the New Jersey Jumpers and the Manchester Meganiums to lose, and the Vespiquen Park Rangers to not win by a big amount, or lose. So I do see my chances being decent, as Christian made a mistake as we had the transfers, which I will come down to in a minute. Christian had transfers in the like after this week's game. My game was a little bit later, but everyone else did play the game before I did. Christian had Cresselia on his team, and that was a staple on his team, and he traded it away, expecting him to not reach playoffs. And he traded it with Matthew, which is the top guy on the Division A, as he wanted, because they are, they made a pact together. So a little bit cheeky, but it's all allowed. So, but that doesn't mean that the Focus Miss is not on. It's still not really a threat to me, to be fair. But yeah. Anyway, so I do kind of have high hopes in Christian not being able to pull through, as he did rely on Cresselia a lot during his game. So maybe it's enough to where he will not win. Hopefully, I hope. Yeah. Also, Connor traded away like his whole team, and Connor is not returning next season, so he might hopefully have like a fun game and not like a try-hard game, and hopefully lose that way. But yeah, it's Connor. Connor has surprised everyone this season, mainly because he got lucky. But yeah, he's still able to potentially win versus Rufus, although I do think Rufus is able to it does have a decent chance against Connor. Yeah, so those are the two guys that are ahead of me. I do have to rely on them to lose, but like I said, they do have weaknesses since last week, which I hope will be exploited by their opponents, so I can pull ahead of them in the last week, clutch the second place, and face the Philadelphia Folksmiths as the first round opponent in the playoffs, because he's not able to get. No, he's actually unable to reach the to not be end up first, despite what he does in this last week. So yeah, anything else I want to add or thingy to this video? I don't think I do. Onto the transfers, I guess. That's the last thing I should probably mention. I did make a transfer, a few actually, and I will quickly go to my page. And as you can see on this page, I no longer have Configuragus and I no longer have Empoleon. I changed them out for a Scissor and a Miss Mages. I basically it was Sasha that dropped Jirachi, and I figured that Jirachi was going to be an improvement over something like Empoleon, so I decided to drop Configuragus and Empoleon for 16 points to pick up Jirachi with 15 points. But quickly after that, Rufus came up to me and he said, "Damn bro, do you wanna switch Jirachi and for like Scissor and Kabutops?" And I was like, yeah, why not? So yeah, I got Scissor now, and I have enough points. I did get enough points to buy Miss Mages as well. And that's funny because Miss Mages was the ghost type on the previous season, and I switched that out for Configuragus, and this time it's the other way around. And I do think that Miss Mages fits better on this team than it did on last team, and vice versa for Configuragus. So I do think Miss Mages is going to be a very crucial month in the remaining weeks, hopefully weeks. And Scissor benefits me with the priority I craved for during the whole season. So that's going to be very crucial as well. And also it's not a weakness to the Psychic and Electric combination that has been butchering my team a little bit the past weeks. Anyway, I don't think I should ramble on too much longer. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to add to the video. GG to my opponent. He did play to win, so I can't blame him for the hacks. Unfortunately, that is how the games go sometimes, making it a little bit less of a fun game to watch or to play than it potentially can be. But yeah, it's Pokemon, so nothing I can change about that now. Let me think of anything else I want to add. No, then that way, no. Feels like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know. Check this shit out in the description, because there will be kind of links and shit to GPC and Martijn and me. So check those out. If you did decide to click the like, then thank you. I appreciate that every time you do that, so click it a lot of times to be funny. Doesn't really end up mattering, but anything else, if you didn't like it, then please let me know why. I want to improve, so that feedback is always welcome. I think that's about it, so see you next week, and wish me luck in reaching the finals and the playoffs and shit. So yeah, thank you in advance.